Guys, that was a little chore getting them 21 birds in that little cage there caught out of that pen over there. But for some of you that hadn't been following along, this is my 21 chicks that I got from Chase over at Recreational Homestead. And I've been ever so many days or weeks weighing them. Now today, they like 3 days being 7 weeks old. I was trying to weigh them on the same days old or weeks old as I did my birds in the past so I can compare them and keep track and do my selective, what I'm gonna keep for breeders and such. But tomorrow and the next day is supposed to be raining, so I'm gonna go on and weigh these. This will be, like I said, like 3 days being exactly 7 weeks old. While I'm weighing them today, I'm gonna go on and be putting colored bands on their legs, because these, when they was chicks, I used toe punch and punched them. I got them all toe punched but one. I figured that out last time I weighed. I don't know if I skipped it or didn't punch out and it growed back together, but if it did that, it growed so good I can't even see it. But I'm gonna get started in weighing these. I'm gonna be putting orange, green, and purple. If I got orange, green, and purple, there's an orange. Let's see, I don't want to use green because I'm using green on my big pen. I use this lime green. We use lime green and purple. The reason I'm doing that, because when I toe punched these, that come out of the breeding pens. When Chase sent me them chicks, they was marked with leg bands, and I can conveniently keep them the same color. Also, the cheapest way that I found to mark chicks, other than toe punch when they babied chicks, is just zip ties. You can buy a big old assortment color of zip ties on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to check that out, but they're very cheap. You just have to, every time I weigh them, I check them, make sure they ain't getting too tight, because as the bird grows, you're going to have to cut them off and put a new one on there. But I'm going to be weighing these in pounds and ounces, looking at my toe punch, putting my zip ties on, and then I'm going to get the numbers put on my computer, and then we'll take a look at what these birds weigh compared to my other ones. And how many males I got, because last time I weighed these, I was guessing, because it was just a guesstimation to me saying 7 males. Well, now they old enough, unless there's a very slow maturing one in there, I can see males. And I don't think I'm gonna be far off of that guess. Actually, I'm hoping it's a little less than 7. So as we can tell, the first one right here is a male. And he will be getting a purple band. Should open these up before I got the chicken out. So the first thing I'm gonna do is go on and put my zip tie on. Like I said, there's my toe punch where I punched him on the right foot, left toe. I got it documented there so I wouldn't forget what color that was, punched like that. You ain't gotta have these tight at all, just so they won't slide over their foot, and then you ain't gotta worry about changing them so often. These little pliers right here, little mini pliers I got a set. Actually, it has 2 more pliers with it, but I keep these with my zip ties. These are little side cutters, and these are little, I don't know what the proper name of these things. I call them fish skinners, because the next size up I use to skin fish with. Alright, man. Let's see what you weigh. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Stand up there. Stand up there. 2 pounds, 8.8 ounces. Now, during this, if I find one that's gonna really stand out to me, I'm gonna put an odd color band that I don't use on no chickens on its left leg, because that's gonna mean I want to keep an eye on that bird as one of my selective to select out for my breeders. This one here, I think I got a male in there with maybe a little darker legs. And I'm finna go over there and put him back in the pen. There you go. I'm gonna try to grab out what's very obvious males first. This one here is right foot, right toe punch, so he gets a green. Not sure y'all gonna be able to see the scale. Stand up there, little buddy. Stand up there, little buddy. You got to be quick whenever you take your hands off before they take a step. 2 pounds, 4 ounces. But y'all see, if these last two are males, their legs is real light colored. £1 pound 9.3. And by rights, all the females ought to be lighter than the males. And I didn't mention it, but out of the males, I didn't see nothing, feel nothing that at this time just jumped out at me as that's gonna be a bird. So I'm gonna just continue to watch it. I actually was expecting these to weigh a little bit more than they weigh. I don't know, that's probably about right though. 3 days less than 7 weeks old. You get a purple bracelet. 1 pound, 11.2. She's sitting there real good. She kind of likes sitting on the scale. I ought to put a band on her to watch her, because I see if she continues to act better than the rest of them. Let's see if she'll do that again. Yeah, I like her attitude. Yeah, I like your little attitude, girl. We may put a pink band on her also, just so I can keep an eye on her. She's acting calm and doing good. Guys, now I know I put the wrong band on one of them chicks, one of them males a while ago. I just almost done it again just then. Oh. 1 pound 13.5. £1 pound 9.9. This one here, little hen here, his legs a little darker than them others so far. By a shade. £1 11.9. Now I could be like some of them folks, put some glycerin on a rag and have their legs all shined up so darker. But I ain't gonna do all that. They are what they are. £1 12.5. I done put the wrong one on this one. I should have done a little better on the toe punching. Cause like right toe, right foot, right toe, or right foot, left toe. Then I start looking at my notes there wrong and stuck the wrong band on here. You ain't never seen what a toe punch does. When they 1, 2, or 3 days old, you toe punch them with a little toe puncher. Looks like a fingernail clipper with a hole in it. You see right there, it puts a perfect hole in their web in their foot. If you don't get it cleaned out good, it'll grow back together. This feels like this might be the biggest hen, just by when I picked her up real quick. She ain't got the darkest legs by no means. And this is the mystery hen that I apparently skipped toe punching, or either it healed back up so good I can't even tell where it was. £2 1.3. And since she weighs as much as she does, I'm gonna put a pink one on there, and I got a note so I know to compare her next time and see if she's still the biggest hen, which I ain't done yet. But unless one of them question mark males while ago as a hen, she's the heaviest one at this time, hen. So with that being said, some of you may be wondering what I'm feeding my chicks. Well, from the time I received them in the mail, I started feeding them half and half. I'd mix half 22% starter grower, chick starter grower, with 28% game bird grower that I use on my quails. And that's what they've been getting up until about the last 2 weeks. Then I just giving them the 20% starter growing full time, all they can eat. And then in the mornings I'll pour a little chopped corn in there for them. Probably about, it's 21 birds, I probably put about maybe 3 cups full, 2 cups full, something like that every day. And I started that a couple of weeks ago. Now some of you just cringed when I said I'm feeding chopped corn. And I see a lot of stuff, and I read a whole lot of stuff, especially on that Facebook mess. And I just have to sit back and giggle under my breath at some of you out there. And I'm saying some of you may not be some of them people, but there's people out there that puts more concern into what their chicks eat for health-wise than they do for themselves. They so concerned about the proper feeds for their chicks and chickens and other animals, other people the same way. And I look at them, you see some of them, and they like 100 pounds overweight themselves, and I just, it may be wrong of me, but I just look and I have to say, you might need to be worrying about what you're eating yourself instead of your animals. Another thing, why do you want to be so concerned about the health of your chicken? And right down there in a few paragraphs later, or the next post or something other, you'll be talking about you raising your chicks for meat and you harvest them at 14, 16 weeks old. I mean, you're going to kill them anyway. Why are you worried about the health food? You want to feed them something to put fat on them. Anyway, that's just my thoughts, guys. Now, if you are one that keeps your chickens for years, then that's a different concern. You may want to feed your birds a little healthier food. There for a long time, I was feeding mine straight 28% game bird starter. And don't really know why I stopped, because everybody talked about how the poop smelled. Mine never really was that strong. Because just because that bag says that's 28%, that don't mean that's 28%, especially with the crap feeds and stuff we get nowadays. But if you feed your birds, or you gonna keep your birds for years, then yeah, you may want to feed them a little healthier. But don't put in there bashing other people about what they feed the birds and then turn around and talk about you gonna harvest them for meat in 16 weeks, because it really don't matter. And again, that's just my opinion and thoughts and how I view it. I've never kept even my laying hens just when I just had old yard chickens for laying. I never kept a hen over 3 years and tried to have them replaced the spring of the, I guess they would be like 2.5 years old. I always tried to swap mine out, because if I'm gonna feed an animal, I want the most out of it, and you're gonna get your most eggs out of them the first 2 years. It's all right. It's all right. And I plan on doing the same thing with my selective breeding. I don't plan on having a hen or a rooster over 2 years. If I do, then that means my selective breeding ain't producing me something better than him in front of him. So that goes back to even 2 years. I'm not concerned about the health food that they're getting, because they're going to end up being my food. I remind everybody again the same thing I did every video on these chicks. If you're going to be a selective breeder and try to make better birds out of your chicks, pay more and reach out to somebody like I did. I got eggs from Madeline and I got chicks from Chase, because they done put years into bettering the birds. Yeah, and you're going to pay more for them, but you're going to be 5 or 6 years ahead of the game than just going to these ordinary hatcheries, and that's all they doing is breeding birds to sell because of the high demand right now. They ain't worried about selective breeding or nothing. So reach out to somebody. It don't have to be them two that I just mentioned, but reach out to somebody that you know has been doing that, putting time into them birds selective breeding. Left foot, right too. You get orange. Oh, hush up. Quit fussing. Quit fussing. Another thing that I don't agree with, that I read a lot about lately, and it seems like all this has come up since all this big YouTube burst since 2020. Or either maybe I'm seeing more of it. Hold on, you ain't acting right at all, are you? You being a little hard-headed. 1 pound, 15.1. But as I was saying, one thing I ain't agreeing with some of these people. Line breeding, inbreeding. They say chickens, you can just do it don't never have to worry about it. Chickens maybe can tolerate that longer than other animals, but you can't make me believe that you can do that for 50 years and keep a sustainable flock. I'll get the word out in a minute. Now, I line bred with some of my rabbits, trying to get better rabbits, inbred some of them, but that ain't something, I just don't believe that. I don't believe in what a lot of people are saying out there. I don't believe you need to line breed and inbreed and say just don't never crossbreed no new, don't never bring no new flocks and do no crossbreeding. Well, to me, how are you becoming a good selective breeding? You only breeding for one thing. If that's meat and that's what you're doing, that's fine. But if you want them just like me, I bought chickens from 2 people that I know has already got them to the weight for meat. So now I can start on trying to get white earlobes or something. Well, if I didn't bring in a chicken from somewhere else that has white earlobes, how am I ever gonna get white earlobes? If you ain't got them in 10 years, you ain't gonna get them in the next 10 years. God ain't just gonna poof one day and say, well, that guy deserves a chicken with white earlobes. So to me, you got to bring stuff in. Again, that's just my opinion. And the old saying is, opinions is like you know what. Everybody's got one. Yeah, it's okay. 2 pounds. And whether you agree with anything or not, I'm saying, that's okay. Please leave it in the comments down there and tell me. And I'll tell you something else. I won't delete your comment. I'll read it. I might learn something from it. £1 pound, 13.9. Almost long enough. 2 pounds, 1.5. That made this one the heaviest hen then. £1 pound, 12.9. £1 pound, 13 ounces. Alright, I got the weighing done. And I know I messed up on 2 bands and probably more, but I get one day when I'm just me, not recording, so I can focus and double check them on my band colors, which it don't really matter. If I catch it next time, I will. But these are 7 weeks old by 12 weeks old. There's going to be a few by that time that I'm going to cull because I want to process some at 12 weeks old. A couple of them just to test for fry birds. Now, today, other than them 2 hens that weighed more, they felt a little meatier on the chest. As far as the rest of them and the males, to me they're kind of all the same. Ain't nothing really stood out to me. As far as checking their wings and stuff, I really ain't even focused on that until it comes time for me to select. When it comes time for my major selecting, that's when I really look at what I want. But I'm gonna get this on the spreadsheet and then we'll take a look at it. Guys, on these colored zip ties here, if you search and not search for chicken leg band zip ties, because they the same thing. But if you'll pay attention, sometimes if you buy them out of the chicken department, as I call it, they gonna cost you more. Alright guys, I done went in the house and put this on the computer, added everything up, but first I gotta make a correction on something I said a while ago about the feed I was feeding. I said I was feeding half 22%. That was wrong. I'm feeding half 20% chick starter grower mixed with half game bird starter grower, which is 28%. And then about 2 weeks ago, I started feeding them just in the morning. I'd give them about 2 cups, and that's 2 cups between 21 birds of chopped corn. Now on the eggs that I hatched from Mandolin, I was feeding them to start with just straight 28% game bird starter. And at this point, that's what they were still getting. I changed it after listening to some of the chicken nerds out there. I changed it back to the 20% after they got bigger. But I decided to go back and kind of split the difference on what I was doing and the 20% because I'm not having the issues I guess some of them have with the strong poop smells and too much ammonia in their poop and such. So that's why I just split the difference. So there are a little bit of feed differences in here. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the spreadsheet. Spreadsheet you're looking at now is on these chicks we just got through weighing. Like I said, they're 46 days old, 3 days from being 7 weeks. You look in the second column, you're going to see the weights. First one highlighted was the heaviest of the chicks today. 2 pounds, 6.6 ounces was a male. The lightest one of today's chicks weigh-in was 1 pound, 9.3 ounces. You come over to your fourth column down at the bottom, you'll see that's a total for the 21 birds. That's a total of 41 pounds, 8.7 ounces. You divide that by 21, that's 1 pound, 9.9 ounces average per bird. This next spreadsheet goes back to when I weighed the eggs that I'd hatched that I got from Mandolin Royal back on 10/3 of 23. Chicks was 48 days old, 7 weeks. The second column, you'll see the heaviest bird, 2 pounds, 7.2 ounces. The lightest bird was 1 pound, 3 ounces. Then you got your total, 23 pounds, 6.1 ounces. Divide that by 12, because it was 12 of these birds. That's 1 pound, 9.8 ounces. So that is almost the exact average weight. But I only had 12 birds here doing this weigh-in. So to me, I know them two people has been putting in the time, the years on these breast chickens, and this is what your results are. Now, if you want to see what your average Joe sells out there in these big hatcheries that don't care nothing about selective breeding, all they doing is trying to have as many chicks as they can for the supply and demand that's going on. Look at this slide right here and look at them ages. 6 to 7 weeks old, 13.7 ounces, 14.9. The rooster, heaviest rooster, was 20.1. You see the third column where I put hen to rooster? Because them was supposed to be juvenile sex birds when I got them. They were so late maturing. You look down in the next column under 730 of 23, 8 to 9 weeks old. I still got one hen to rooster. The reason I put it like that is because it ended up being a hen. 8 to 9 weeks old. 1 pound, 8.9 ounces. 1 pound, 0.4 ounces. 1 pound, 3.8 ounces. But that's 8 to 9 weeks old. The reason I say an 8 to 9 weeks old and not the exact date, because these were shipped to me, so I don't know the exact date that they was born or hatched. I'm just going by what he's told me. And even down there on the 11 to 12 weeks old. Heaviest one, 1 pound, 13.3. From the time I received these birds, they was fed the same thing as these others we've been looking at and weighing. But I can't tell you what they was fed up to their 4, 5, 6 weeks old. I was told they were 6 weeks old when he shipped them to me. I don't know. So with that being said, that's enough for what I want to do. I just wanted me some numbers here, so when I start hatching and trying to move forward on my own, I have something to look at, because I don't want to lose no body weight that Mandolin and Chase has worked years to get. So if I start breeding now, trying to get darker legs and white earlobes, and I don't want to mess up and lose no meat on the bird. And that's why I'm doing this, to give me something to fall back on, to always check my own. Now, I'm probably not going to weigh these. Well, I'll probably weigh them, but I ain't going to make no video on it until that gets on up there, that I start doing my selection to select them out. And then that's when I'll coil hard, because like I was saying earlier, it depends on what these turn out. If I decided to keep these over here that I have for egg layers, I'm probably ain't gonna keep but 4 hens out of this and 1 rooster. And the rest of them starting at 12 weeks, I'm gonna split it up. I do a few of them at 12 weeks, fatten them up a couple weeks, process them, start some at, or let me back up. I'll start earlier than 12 weeks. At 10 weeks, I'll put them on the butter and corn. And by the way, that video is going to be coming up right after this one probably, to see how that done on my rooster out there. Because it's about time for me to process him to see how this butter done on fattening this rooster up. But anyway, I probably ain't going to be showing y'all no more weights, because this is proof enough that what they have done over the years has made a difference. And like I said, if you're interested in getting especially breast birds, pay a little more and put yourself ahead of the game. Don't just go to your hatchery that sells the cheapest bird out there, because they can care less what they breed, and they just hatching them to breed and sell. I'll leave the contacts for Chase and Mandolin in the description below this video. If you're interested in eggs or chickens, or if you got somebody else that you know is doing the same thing, by all means reach out to them. I ain't trying to say these are the only 2 people doing this. These are the 2 I reached out to, and I'm proving that what they've done is working. What you think about it? Huh? Now I'm finna check on my rabbits. Think I'm gonna let him down on the ground and hop around a little while this afternoon. I got some baby rabbits. Y'all want to look at some baby rabbits? I just looked at the date, guys. These rabbits right here is right at 2 weeks old. This one here's eyes ain't open. Look like little rats. rabbits jumping around. Get all the fuzz off of them. They about to jump. That right there's eyes open on him. They think I'm their mama. They want something to eat. But this is wins. And actually, I'm finna rebreed these rabbits. It's been 2 weeks. And this time of the year, I need to get them bred and get some more little ones growing, because... Oh, shut up over there, Justin. Because it's finna be March. Again, in April, people wants rabbits. Guys, I started calling my... There's old Maroyle. I started calling my rooster, one I got from Breast Farms, Justin. And since that didn't come from Mandolin Royal, I call it Maroyle. But I'm finna get over here and breed my rabbits, guys, and I hope y'all have a great day and a blessed week. Appreciate y'all, and as always, don't forget to give that thumbs up and leave me a comment to help my YouTube algorithm. And y'all stop in anytime.